Hello. So this video is from our Easter weekend with our family. They came from all different areas to stay for the long weekend, and we made passata and some spaghetti and pasta sauces, pizza sauces. Usually we would grow our own tomatoes, and then this is like a big family event that we do once a year where we'll harvest all the tomatoes, we'll put them in a big pot all cut up into halves or quarters, we'll put them on the stove and cook them down just for maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get the skins coming off and to get them a bit soft, and then we pop them through our food mill to get rid of all the skins and the seeds, and go through this process as a family every year. But this year we had some pretty serious issues with a leak in our dam and no rain for the majority of the summer, and unfortunately our tomato plants just didn't really make it. We did end up replanting some more later in the season, and it was just too late. They stayed green, they weren't ripening, so we decided, instead of completely missing out on making this passata, that we would purchase some from a local farmer, and we got 40 kilos of Roma tomatoes. So over this long weekend we processed all of the 40 kilos. We chopped them up into halves or quarters, took out any bad bits, and as I said earlier, put them on the stove top for about 5 or 10 minutes to soften before putting them through the food mill. Once we got rid of all the seeds and the skins, we then put the passata into our cans, so our jars, glass jars for canning, and we have a water bath canner. So we use the Fowler's brand of jars in Australia, or at least our family does. I don't think we have any of the Ball brand, but I did just buy some, but they haven't quite come in the mail yet. And so we used the Fowler's brand and had canned those in the water bath canner with a little bit of citric acid added. The majority of the jars that we did were just the plain passata, so nothing really added, just milled tomatoes that have been through the food mill, and not even any salt or anything added. It's just plain. Didn't add any lemon juice because we've added the citric acid for the acidity for canning. And then we, throughout the year, will use that to make pasta sauces, lasagna bases, or just to add it into anything that might just need a bit of tomato. Like our family have a bit of a Malaysian and Indian influence. We lived in Malaysia for quite a number of years, so one of our family's favorite dishes is butter chicken, so we would use some passata in that as well. So we did end up making some pizza sauce as well, and we do have the process of making that up for you too. And it was a whole family effort, so everybody, you'll kind of see throughout the video, it swaps and changes which family members we have in the background that are working the food mill to process all of these tomatoes, and we swap and change who's doing the chopping and who's popping them onto the stove, just so that it's all shared around, because it's quite a big job to get through the 40 kilos of tomatoes. So we do end up doing this in batches. I think we did about 20 kilos the first day and then 20 kilos the next day. so that we were able to also do our normal family Easter things as well, because we do have 4 young children in the family, 2 of my own and then my niece and nephew. And there's just some technical difficulties here where we've just added another clamp because the one that we had on was getting a bit loose and the mill was kind of shaking and wobbling a little bit. So we've just got that all tightened, and now you can see what we've got in the pot there and what's in that food mill. So we're scooping it up into the top of the food mill, winding it into, basically it's just squashing it, I suppose. Out comes the passata that we will use, but then we discard the seeds and skins, and that's it, getting ready for the jars. Now this is the beginning of the pizza and pasta sauce. So we've taken some of the tomatoes and we popped them into the oven and just slowly roasted them to get rid of some of that excess moisture, but also get that roasted flavor so that we could add that to a nicer depth of flavor for the sauce. So we also roasted some garlic, and while we were waiting for the garlic and the tomatoes to roast, we took the rest of the garlic that we grew last year and started to peel and process that. We ended up deciding to confit all the garlic so that we could have it with a better concentrated flavor to add to our dishes as needed. We didn't grow, well, this is my dad's garlic that he grew last year, so we weren't all living at the same property when he grew this garlic, so he wasn't expecting to need so much for so many people. Since processing all of this and confitting this garlic, we have used probably a third of it already in all of our cooking, but that does include the cook up that we did, which was a month's worth of meals in the one cook. So it was a smaller amount of garlic, so we probably will end up buying some garlic throughout the year this year just to be able to confit it again, because we do like the confit garlic to add to our meals and our cooking, particularly when we make our own garlic breads as well. We are a pasta loving family, pizza loving family, so we do tend to make our own fresh garlic breads as well. So we did, just in another video that's coming up, we have also just planted our own garlic at our other property that we did our farm tour of. So that's another video that's going to come up, but I believe we planted 160 cloves of garlic, so we are expecting to have a much larger harvest next year than what we got this year. I believe the variety that this is that is being processed is a hardneck variety. I'm not exactly sure on the type of garlic, but yeah, that's what my father grew in their garden last year. So I'm just taking it all apart at the moment, taking all the cloves apart and discarding the rest of the matter, the material. Basically the scapes and the rest of the root system and all of the paper of the garlic, we just pop into our compost bin, and just taking all of those individual cloves, popping them all into a bowl, and then once we have them all divided up with the cloves and have gotten rid of all the excess matter, we take the tops and bottoms off of the garlic and peel all the rest of the paper skins off. And then that's quite a time-consuming process, and what I have learnt from this experience is next time I do it, we need to wear gloves because it does end up burning your skin after a while, and and the smell of garlic. I do like the smell of garlic, but maybe not on my fingers all day, every day for the next few days. It is a bit overpowering. So it is a time-consuming process, and it wasn't even a large amount of garlic. But I have since watched another YouTube video, and I'd like to try this next time, where at this point, after they had divided them into cloves, they did put them in a pot of boiling water, and they continued to agitate the water while the garlic cloves were in the water. And they only put them in for like 5 to 10 seconds, just enough to start to loosen the skins off. And from the process of agitating the water, they managed to get the majority of the skins to come off during that process. So then when they took them out of the water, they hadn't cooked the garlic because it had not been very long, but they did manage to completely get rid of most of those papery skins, and then it was quite simple to be able to get the rest off in quite a quick sort of process. All right, now we're back at our tomatoes, onto the next batch. So this would be the last 20 kilos, just getting these all cut and ready to go into our big stock pot to soften up a bit. Now, I did skip the part, I didn't record it, of once I got those roast tomatoes out of the oven, I did put them through the food mill, and then I put them on the stove top, and you can see that it had already reduced down quite a bit in comparison to the passata that was shown earlier. And I haven't actually had it on the stovetop for all that long before I've added this red wine, and I added some basil as well. And you can already see it's got before the red wine was added, that it already had a deeper, darker, richer color, and it was a lot thicker, and that was just from roasting those tomatoes in the oven. And checking on them. I think it took maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and I think I had it at about 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. That there is the garlic that I took out of the oven, the roasted garlic. I popped them out of the skins, put them into a grater, and added the roasted garlic into the sauce. Here's our processed jars of the passata from the first round coming out of the canner. And yeah, I added that basil and that caramelized roasted garlic into that pizza sauce with the red wine and some salt and pepper. Now I'm processing all the rest of the garlic again, and my sister-in-law did end up coming to help because it was getting quite time consuming. Now we're taking off all those skins, so I'll definitely have to try that other method soon, as I'm sure it would have saved us a lot of time. With this amount of garlic, it probably wouldn't have taken much time at all. This probably took us a bit over an hour. So then I've put it all into a saucepan with some good quality olive oil. I put it on a low heat, and then I was watching to see when bubbles were forming and making sure that it was just a really light, slow bubble. I wanted to make sure there was heat so that it was bubbling, but I didn't want it to get to quite a simmer or boil. I did that for about 45 minutes and then transferred them to these jars. So it didn't make a large amount. Yeah. We finished off the weekend with some freshly baked bread. We processed and canned the rest of that pizza pasta sauce, and that was our cooking for our nice long Easter weekend.